With Zach Wilson still on the sidelines with an injury, the New York Jets have decided to go to Joe Flacco as their starting quarterback against the Miami Dolphins. It got me thinking, are the Jets afraid of Mike White?
Jets, Jets!
All right, welcome in. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Boys and girls, I want to talk about a topic that seems to have Jet fans all over the map on this. A lot of people are seriously ticked off, and then other people are just kind of questioning the decision overall. And that's Joe Flacco starting against the Miami Dolphins this weekend. Zach Wilson is still not 100%, but there's a lot of things going on. And the question today, are the Jets afraid of Mike White? And I want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below before you even watch this video and then play it, and then let's talk about it afterwards. But are the Jets afraid of Mike White? And the whole thought process here is that Mike White played so well and there was so much energy around him that if he plays well against the Dolphins, then he gets another start against the Texans. It's going to be a lot harder to go back to Zach Wilson. And there's a lot of things to kind of unpack with this. And I want to talk about Wilson first and foremost. I do think if Zach was 100% healthy, the Jets would be starting him. I think Robert Saleh wants to win games. I think Joe Douglas, Mike LaFleur want to win games. And I do think they think that Wilson is their best chance long-term and, in the short term to win these games. I just think he's not at 100%. And you just spent the number 2 overall pick on this guy. There is no reason to rush him back into the lineup. So that's my thoughts on Wilson right now. Now, I understand people saying, hey, maybe they don't want to start Wilson because they're playing the Miami Dolphins at home. If Wilson starts looking bad, then you might start hearing the Mike White chant. You might start hearing the boo birds come out. And you know what? If you play well, that's all kind of forgiven. But why risk Zach in a home game against the Dolphins after getting blown out the week before against the Bills? Why risk it now? Let him have a little bit more of a softball game against the Texans on the road, kind of work his way back in there. At least you won't hear the boo birds from the Jets side of things. So I think there is definitely some truth to that to an extent. I think it's more of a beneficial side effect, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, I think he's not 100% and he would be starting if he was. Then you get to the whole Joe Flacco versus Mike White conversation. And I've said it before, Mike White, if he starts gaining a head of steam, we saw Ty Johnson, we saw CJ Mosley, we saw the locker room start chanting his name and the fans start chanting his name. And there was a lot of energy around Mike White and a lot of excitement. And it seems like that all came crashing to a halt this past weekend against the Bills when he winds up throwing 4 interceptions. Now, Joe Flacco, we just traded for him before the trade deadline. We wind up giving up 6th round pick to get him. And obviously, a lot of Jet fans were pissed off at that because we had Flacco on the roster last year. We let him walk in free agency and we wound up trading for him just 6 months later or wherever it was. So I can understand people being frustrated with that. So are the Jets trying to justify the Joe Flacco trade by starting him this week? Or does Flacco give us the best chance to win? Why are they not starting Mike White? And I think that's where people are starting to come from here. Now, Joe Flacco is 6-1 against the Miami Dolphins all time. That one loss was with us last year as a member of the New York Jets. But overall, Flacco has been pretty rock solid against the Dolphins. Now this is a totally different team, and it's a totally different, organization with the Jets as opposed to his time with Baltimore. But I do think that I think starting Flacco, there are some benefits to this. Like, for me, I said after the game, if Mike White is not 100%, I would go to Joe Flacco because I think there's a positive to watching a veteran Super Bowl winning quarterback prepare for a week, both for Mike White and for Zach Wilson to be able to sit on the sidelines and watch this. And I think there is something to that for sure. Now, it seems like Mike White is 100% healthy, and then it really does beg the question, are they afraid of Mike White? If Mike White were to come in, have a good game against the Dolphins, because the Dolphins they're somewhere middle of the pack defense-wise. They're definitely not as good as Buffalo, but they're better than some of the others that we've faced. Because if he plays well against the Dolphins, now, okay, he's going to the Texans, and he's on the road, and that's a really bad defense down there, and now he looks really good, and now it starts to get a lot harder to go back to Zach Wilson at that point because you have such a head of steam. And I'll say this, I think there is definitely that thought in the back of their mind. I think they realize that with the bad game from White this week and Zach inevitably ready to go either this week or next week, it wound up not being this week, but for the Texans, I think they found it easier to transition back to him by having the buffer that is Flacco starting this game, because everyone knows Flacco's not going to be on this team next year, although I said that last year, and he wound up being on this team this year, so who knows, I guess that could always change. But Flacco's obviously not the long-term answer for us at quarterback, where Mike White, in theory, could. Sure, it's a little bit more of a long shot based on where he was drafted and everything that kind of goes with it and the amount of resources that we put into Zach Wilson. But I do think that it's important for the Jets to see Zach back in action, and I do think there's probably a little bit of concern that they might, I don't want to say damage Zach's psyche, but I think there's probably a locker room dynamic with a Carson Wentz, Nick Foles type situation where Foles comes in, wins the Super Bowl, and now Carson Wentz is kind of a second-class quarterback on that team because everyone's rallied around Nick Foles. And it's definitely the route I thought we were kind of headed in, and it definitely did make me a bit concerned because I do think that the ceiling for Zach Wilson is significantly higher than that of Mike White. And that's not to say that I don't want to hold on to Mike White. Like, I would very much tender him at the end of this year, bring him back next year. If he winds up playing well, I don't care where we get a franchise quarterback from. I just want one. So if it's Zach Wilson or Mike White, it doesn't matter to me. But as far as are the Jets afraid of Mike White, I think at this point in time, because of the delicate situation with Zach Wilson, with trying to get people back on board with that whole mentality and the direction the team was going, I do think there is a little fear of Mike White. But hey, you know what? The Jets fans as a whole, we're not used to having two options at quarterback. So I got to say, this actually does feel pretty good. As much as it's frustrating and fans want to pull their hair out and they don't want to watch Flacco, yeah, guess what? You don't have to watch the game on Sunday. No one's forcing you. It's okay. I think it's still going to be fun. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are the Jets afraid of Mike White? Could Zach Wilson have started? Do you like that Joe Flacco is starting? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, go Jets.